The following podcast is brought to you by patreon.com/WrestleMedia.ca. Like what you hear? Want more of it ad-free, uncensored, and earlier? Sign up today at patreon.com/WrestleMedia.ca and start getting more for as little as $2 a month. Ladies and gentlemen, it is now time for your main event, where news and opinions on the sport of kings collide. WrestleMedia is proud to present The Wrasslun Show. Welcome to The Wrasslun Show, part of WrestleMedia, where everything is wrestling, and wrestling is everything. I'm at Adam Conta. Who are you? I don't know who you are. Who are you?
I am some guy that just wandered into a studio, turned on a microphone, and said, Wrasslun?
Huh, it's funny. That's how Matt Sukram got the job. Wait, Matt Sukram! Hey, wait, where have you been, sir?
It has been a month and a half.
Has it really been that long?
I don't know. I can't remember the, I think that I did two solo shows, or I did a show with our patron sponsor, Courtney Kenny.
Right.
Then I did a solo show.
Mm-hmm.
Then I took a trip into the wilderness to find myself, and all I found was that I really missed doing this.
I was going to say, I thought you were about to say that you found a fun house with some puppets in it, and you got the heck out of there and came back to North Bay. Because you knew it was trouble.
That would be trouble for sure. Mm-hmm. If I did find that, I don't know if I'd be screaming in delight or screaming in fear.
I think that's kind of the point. You don't know whether you should or not, right?
That's right.
It's very creepy. Matt, man, I am glad to have you back here. I'm sure our listeners are glad to have you back here as well. It has been far too long. So glad that you're once again here at the helm with me, my co-pilot on this mad journey. I
mean, I don't know. I think people are going, what? Billy Gunn's not here?
Hey, listen, I'm not going to lie. If Billy Gunn ever wants to come on this show, you can stay home for the week because he was a lot of fun to talk to.
He certainly was, yeah. I thought you did a great job with those guys. Yeah, it's been so long. Like, we haven't even talked about Chinlock, but you guys look like you had an awesome time down there. You guys really worked your butts off while you were down there. Just amazing work from you and the rest of the team that was down there, and you saw a hell of a show. So great job with all of that. I know this sounds like, I don't know, I'm just patting my own co-host on the back here, but you deserve it. You did a great job. Because sometimes when you meet all those people that you kind of, I don't know if idolize is the right word, but you kind of looked up to them and, you know, they were larger than life to you. You handled that very well. You were very professional about all that.
Why would I have to worry about meeting guys like Hornswoggle and Billy Gunn and Tugboat and Tommy Dreamer and Mark Henry? I work with Matt Sukram every week, baby.
Said no one ever.
Chinlock was an incredible show. I'm actually, as we're recording this, waiting to hear an announcement from Jan Murphy involving some of the numbers for the show, which I'm sure is going to blow everybody's minds. What an incredible event. Of course, we want to remind our listeners that Chinlock has another wrestling show coming up on Saturday, August the 17th, Fallout in Napanee from the Chinlock Wrestling School, the Chinlock Academy. And there's a very good chance, actually, I can actually reveal this here. We have confirmed that WrestleMedia will be there that night. So we will be there. The booth will be set up. And it may be in conjunction with another show that weekend. I can't confirm nor deny it yet. We're working on a couple of different things. When we do have those dates announced for WrestleMedia, you can go to our website, WrestleMedia.ca, and click on the On the Road page. And when you're there, make sure you stop by, say hi. Who knows? We'll probably be giving stuff away. That seems to be the thing that we like to do at these events is we get people to sign up for our newsletter and give away free stuff. And the reason we get you to sign up for our newsletter is because it's awesome. It's free. You get up-to-date weekly updates with all the big news that's happening in the world of WrestleMedia each week. And did I mention it was free? Because it's free. And you also get access to exclusive contests. We recently had our SummerSlam giveaway. We gave away a copy of the new Lita and Trish Stratus DVD. We're going to be giving away some more stuff, so you better make sure you sign up for that weekly newsletter so that you can win some free stuff as well. And finally, Matt, before we take this into our actual episode and stop the shilling, I do want to talk about, if anybody is sitting there going, what is he talking about? Chinlock weekend, look like you had fun. How does Matt know how we looked like having fun at the Chinlock show? Well, probably because he subscribes to our YouTube channel. Because if you have subscribed to our YouTube channel, you probably saw our road trip video where we went around, we highlighted all the big events from Chinlock weekend. We even checked out Meltdown, which was a grilled cheese restaurant in my former hometown of Kingston. We all enjoyed it. It was delicious. Go and check out that video. There's a great interaction with me and the Shockmaster that I'm particularly proud of. And then subscribe. Hit subscribe. Hit that little notification button. If you prefer to listen to your podcast that way, we do put the podcasts, every one of them, via YouTube as well. So go and check that out as well. Get those numbers up. I'm not happy with those subscriber numbers. I said that if we got them to a certain point, I might get Bull Nakano to sign and then slap my chest and tattoo it. I don't know how I'm going to do that all SummerSlam weekend, but I'm going to find a way, baby, if we get those numbers where I want them to. So, all right. That's enough shilling for now. We'll probably do a little bit more at the end of the episode, but for now, let's just jump right into our topic of conversation. Matt, I think it's safe to say you weren't really happy with the Undertaker-Goldberg match from Super Showdown, right?
That's a fair assessment. I didn't have big expectations for the match in itself. I was very happy that the creative side actually put some effort into booking a story going into it, and the way they booked it was perfect. That is how you book two 50-year-olds who have no business being in the ring. It's all about the persona, and I thought the build-up on the Raw and SmackDown before Super Showdown was all it needed to be. The match in itself was brutal. but no, I think I said that on the last episode, the solo show I did, that sorry, my mic's falling down here. Stay,
God.
Stay.
Don't go anywhere.
And yeah, so I loved that they put a little bit of effort into the build-up, but yeah, the match itself was not good.
It probably would have been a lot better if it happened in like 1997 or 1998, don't you think?
Yeah, you know what?
What?
It would have been.
And think about it.
Guys would have been, what, in their 30s at that point?
Yeah, maybe even younger than that for some of those guys. Yeah, absolutely. And yet, here we are. We had to wait 15 years for it, and, we weren't really happy with what we got. Maybe even more than that, to be honest with you. But it would have been much better.
If it was in 1998, that's like 20 years.
Yeah, exactly. Like a long
21.
time ago. The point we're getting at here is that WWE recently put out a video on their YouTube that teased Sting. At least that's what a lot of people thought was being teased, was an Undertaker versus Sting match, but that's not what it was. It was actually for a new YouTube series that they're doing called WWE Reimagined. And the first kind of topic of conversation was, what if The Undertaker had jumped ship to WCW in 1997? Which is an interesting idea. It basically is an episode of Reversing the Call, which was our show here on WrestleMedia. But you know what? We haven't had time to really put out any new episodes, and it's an idea that I stole from Marvel with their What If series, so I can't really throw stones from my glass house in this case.
Well, that's okay. I mean, WWE's whole conduct since we started this podcast was stealing our ideas. So.
That's true. You're right. So we shouldn't be surprised is what we're saying. But there were some really interesting ideas that were thrown out amongst all the people they interviewed for the segment. 3 matches were essentially postulated with the idea of The Undertaker jumping ship to WCW to fight Goldberg, Hollywood Hulk Hogan, and of course Sting. Sting was the big one. And I don't remember who said it. It might have been Eric Bischoff? I can't remember. But somebody said it should have been a trilogy. Sting and Taker should have been a trilogy. And I think that's a cool idea. So I thought it might be kind of fun. You and I, let's just talk it out. Let's just talk it out and book Undertaker jumping ship to WCW in 1997, and we have to work those matches in.
So I just wanted to say I loved the production of this video.
Some really good editing on their part.
And the beginning was really cool when they almost spliced a Hogan promo with an Undertaker promo.
Yeah.
Or an Undertaker entrance. That was very cool. And, the production values were really, really good.
I liked it a whole lot. I thought it was a lot of fun. So here's the first question then. Undertaker makes the jump to WCW in 1997. We know the year, but we don't know the date. Should we do a month? Which should we go by a month? Should we go by a particular date? What do you think we should do with this?
Well, so here's the thing. Let's, Shush! I'm trying to record here, cat.
That's your cat? Oh, wow. Honest to God, I thought that was your baby.
No, they're in bed. They better not be making any noise.
Bring the cat up to the microphone. Let's hear what he has to say about it. What do you think?
Get out of here. He doesn't feel like it.
He is not happy about that.
No, he's not at all. So here's my thing. I am not going to sit here and pretend I knew a whole lot about what was going on in WCW at the time. So I'm going to try to kind of figure out who was the big players, who were the big players, what was going on at the time, and I can kind of jump in here and there with some ideas as we go along. I assume you kind of know what was happening at the time. I assume this is right when the NWO was revealed that Hogan was the third man.
Well, that would have been the middle of 96. If we start from the top of 1997, we had the NWO pretty much running wild, so much so that the first pay-per-view of WCW in 1997 was an NWO exclusive pay-per-view called Sold Out. Now, keep in mind, it is heralded as one of the worst pay-per-views in WCW history. But, I mean, what would you expect? It was essentially an all-heel show. There were a few WCW babyfaces, but they didn't get entrance music, and it was very clear that the entire night was just full of screw jobs. So, it wasn't exactly well-received by the audience. So let's have some fun with this. Let's say The Undertaker shows up in January. Let's start right from the beginning of January 1997, and let's start at Sold Out. Let's say he makes his debut at Sold Out. Now, the event is headlined by Hollywood Hulk Hogan, versus the Giant for the WCW World Title. Of course, we all know how this one ends. Hollywood Hogan and the NWO basically come in there, wreak havoc, and that's kind of it, It wasn't great. Hogan, came to the ring by the Dallas Cowboys, if you can believe that.
Wait,
basically, what's that?
He came to the ring, accompanied by the Dallas Cowboys?
Nate Newton, Ray Donaldson, and George Teague of the Dallas Cowboys escorted Hogan to the ring.
Wow.
Basically, the Giant went for a choke slam on the Hulkster, covered him, but Nick Patrick refused to make the count. Giant got mad, choke slam Patrick as well, so that basically led to a disqualification. Bischoff handed a guitar to the Hulkster, nailed the Giant with it, and it was a no contest. He retained his title. Obviously, everyone was really angry about this. Wasn't really good. So that's kind of what we're working with here for the debut of The Undertaker. But here's the question, Matt, because let's be honest, if he's going to jump ship to WCW, he can't be The Undertaker. I mean,
why not?
Well, because do you really think that in 1997, in the middle of this wrestling war, WWE would have said, you know what, Undertaker is our intellectual property, we own that character, but Yeah, you know what? Go ahead. He can use it when he's jumping across ship too.
Well, that's the thing. If we're going to book it, he has to be booked as the Undertaker.
No. He would not be the Undertaker. I'm saying he can look like the Undertaker. He can dress like the Undertaker. He can do everything like the Undertaker, but he can't be called the Undertaker.
So what are we calling him then?
That's my first question. What do you do with him, right? Now, like, do we do something like where we make him, I don't know,
the Grave Digger.
The Grave Digger, right? Do we try to do a play on that name? Do we just call him the Soul Taker or Taker? Or are those too close? I mean, and the reason I bring this up is because we can't forget that when the Big Boss Man when he jumped ship from WWF to WCW in the mid-90s, he first was brought out as the Boss. And WWE said, nope, that's too close to Big Boss Man. So they were like, okay, he's the man. And they were like, nope, that's too close to Big Boss Man. So they're like, fine, he's no longer a police officer. He's one of the Guardian Angels. The vigilante group from down south?
You mean the Hells Angels?
No, the Guardian Angels. They like wear berets and they have red shirts.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so they made him a Guardian Angel instead, which, got over about as well as you expect it to be. And then they were like, screw it, we're just going to make him Big Bubba Rogers because that's what he was in WCW before he went to the WWF.
And I see at this event, he actually went on to beat Hugh Morris.
That's right. Yes, a prestigious honor if there ever was one. But Taker can't be the Undertaker in WCW. Now, he could, however, go by his old name in WCW before he jumped ship to the WWF, which was Mean Mark Callous, right?
Hate it.
Now hold on. Let me just let me postulate for a second here, because here's the thing. Yeah, it's not a great name. You could even take the mean out, but when Diesel and Razor Ramon jumped ship from WWF to WCW, they didn't show up and say, "Hey, here's our new gimmicks." They were just Kevin Nash and Scott Hall. And, outside of a few of those characters, like a Sting or like a Hulk Hogan, like Randy Savage, a lot of guys were trying to play up the realism, So,
that's very true. Yeah, Rick Steiner and Scott Steiner were just those guys.
Right. Weird. I mean, they're just naturally weird.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's my point, is that why not have him come out as Mark Callous or Mark Calloway even? And everybody will know who he is. Now, here's the question, though. Do you do the Undertaker gimmick, or if you're going to do a reality-based gimmick, do you debut the American Badass 2 years before the WWF even did? And you have Undertaker come out as this, like, gnarly, ticked-off biker.
I think that is what would probably work best in a WCW setting. Because you kind of already have Sting doing the dark, brooding character. Is there room for two of those?
Well, that's the question, right? The idea would be to build those two towards a battle in that sense. But then the question is, what do you name them, right? I mean, so I'm not saying that's the only option, but I'm saying, it is an option to go with the reality base and have him be Mark Callous or Mark Calloway and do kind of like that American Badass thing that's closer to his real personality. But
I would do the American. I would just do the American Badass Mark Callous.
Okay.
Or Mark Calloway. Sorry.
No, well, you could call him Mark Callous or Mark Calloway. Doesn't matter. It's interesting. Here's the question. If Eric Bischoff comes to you and says, no, we have to do something similar, but we can't call him Undertaker, what do you want to call him? Do you call him Gravedigger? Like, what do you think?
Yeah, I would have to throw out a whole bunch of zombie death related names that just sound like they can fit.
What about the Hangman? I think he could be the Hangman, Because he's from
The
Texas,
Hangman.
and the Texas Hangman was like a gimmick that was kind of like a big deal down in Texas. So I think he should be the Hangman. Because there's still like a death kind of thing. Although I do kind of like Soul Taker as well. I think that's kind of a cool idea. But I might be confusing that with Nelson Frazier, who played Mabel. He might have gone by that name as well down in Memphis. So.
Oh, yeah?
I can't really remember. Casket Maker.
I'm going to spend a good quality 9 hours on this box and then put you in it.
It's not a terrible catchphrase. I mean, or at least it's not really bad. What about, how about this one? Why don't we just call him Death? He is the person.
That is a very WCW thing to do.
Yeah, he's just the personification of death.
Yeah, that could work.
Well, I think at one point he was known as the Punisher, Mark Callous.
Ooh, I like
the Punisher.
I like something to do with Punisher.
So you could make him the Punisher.
Yeah.
Either way,
Marvel will have no problem with, or DC will have no problem with that at all.
Well, no, they wouldn't.
I can't remember which one he's part of.
But I mean, to be fair, well, I don't know. You're right. I guess I was going to say, to be fair, Hogan's been calling himself Hulk for decades, but they did they did have a problem with him at one point. I think they did try to get the trademark back from him, which is why for a short period of time in WWE he was known as Hollywood Hogan, not Hulk Hogan, because
that makes sense.
Marvel and him were going through disputes. Now, obviously they've worked all that out, but yeah, I mean, they might have a problem with it, but then they could just be like, he doesn't have a skull, it's fine, he's not blowing people away with guns, he's not the Punisher. I don't know, but he's definitely not the Undertaker, is what they would say. So, sold out 1997. How do you debut him? What does he do? Does he show up at the show, or do you wait and say, no, we're going to wait a little bit longer?
Well, what's their big show? Their Starrcade, right? It's not, and that's not until December.
It's the last show of the year.
And that's their WrestleMania, right?
Yeah, it's supposed to be their WrestleMania. If I was going to say their biggest shows, I would probably rank them as Starrcade, Halloween Havoc, which is in October.
Yeah.
I probably put either Bash at the Beach or Great American Bash in that next spot, which is in June, July. Mm-hmm. And then Super Brawl, which is in February. So, take your pick, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, again, I'm trying to get caught up of what was even happening. Hogan beats Piper in the main event of
Super Brawl.
Yeah,
that was the one where Roddy Piper had spent a week in Alcatraz to prepare for the match.
Oh my god.
We just have to go back and watch some of those videos. They actually weren't bad. I actually thought they were kind of cool, but I'm a Roddy Piper mark, so what do I know? And that's the other question.
To me, the best way to debut him is after the NWO has kind of, and again, I don't know where they are at this point, but if they've kind of run roughshod over everybody, and Hogan's been champion for so long, and he basically says there's nobody left, that's when I would debut.
Okay.
Whatever the heck we're calling him.
Mark. Well, we'll just say Mark.
That's when we're debuting Mark.
We'll call him Taker for now, just so everybody listening follows along.
Sure.
And knows, it's the Undertaker. We're talking about the Undertaker, but not really the Undertaker. You know what? I mean, here's the thing. Like, I don't want to waste time with the Undertaker. I want to get him out there right away. So I say, to save NWO Sold Out, the end of the night, everybody is going crazy. They're not happy with this big finish, so the guy to come out and save this pay-per-view is literally the Punisher, Mark Callous, the Undertaker, on his motorcycle, driving down to the ring, Death, Mark Callous, whatever we're calling him. He drives down to with his motorcycle, gets in there, clears house, and everybody kind of just like is shocked at this, like, you know, he's here. Oh my God, he's here, and he's ruined the NWO's party. And I think that would be a huge way to debut the guy. Just this, like, he comes in, he clears house, establishes himself as a threat, and it's like, yeah, I'm here now. Like, I'm here to do damage to this NWO. I think that would be a cool, big way to debut the guy.
I agree.
All right, cool. So now the question is, what do you do to start things off with them? How do you put him immediately into something with Hogan and kind of move him from there, or do you have him build his way up the ladder, or is there somebody in mind?
That's the question now, right? Is, again, you don't want to waste time, and you don't want to lose any of the heat.
Yeah, you're absolutely right about that.
You like, how long can you drag out him threatening Hogan without actually getting a chance at Hogan? How long can you drag that out for?
Well, especially also if you have, other guys who are chomping at the bit to get at him too, like Roddy Piper and Sting. Like, here's the other thing too. Like, do you then sacrifice this story with Sting that's been playing out and they've been building, or, do you kind of put Taker and Hogan on the back burner for a little bit until then? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So, so let's move on to Super Brawl then. Like, is there somebody that you want to see him face at Super Brawl as a way to, like, kind of kick him off, or do you not have him wrestle for a little bit? Like, what do you do with them?
Maybe, like, the way I'm looking at it is, so Lex Luger and the Giant defeated the Outsiders Kevin Nash and Scott Hall with 6. Maybe just make that a 6-man. Or maybe an 8-man tag. Luger, the Giant, Roddy Piper, and Taker against Nash, Hall, Six, and Hogan.
Well, that could work then. I would probably leave Hogan and Piper on their own thing. I do like the idea of Taker being involved in that tag team title match somehow, though. Yeah, 6-man tag would work. I would have had Taker squash Six earlier on in the night, and then have him come out and help Luger and Giant defeat the Outsiders. But the 6-man tag would work just fine. So there you go, 6-man tag. That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna move on. 6-man tag. Obviously, Luger, Giant, and Taker go over, I assume.
Oh yeah, for sure.
All right, so it's very clear here. He's Team WCW, which is probably a good idea. All right, moving on to Uncensored. We're now into March. We're competing against the WWE at this point in WrestleMania season. What an incredible main event in this one. Team NWO, Hogan, Savage, Nash, and Hall with Dennis Rodman defeat Team Piper, which was Piper, Benoit, Steve McMichael, and basically the Four Horsemen with Roddy Piper instead of Ric Flair. And then Team WCW, which was Lex Luger, the Giant, and Scott Steiner. They were missing a guy. I'm assuming it was Rick. I think the easy thing here is to have Taker in that 4th spot, right?
Yeah, you just throw him in there with Luger, the Giant, and Scott Steiner. But now you're going, well, we just kind of had him in a 6-man tag match. Is his second big match going to be another multi-man thing? Because now you're kind of taking away from, you're almost losing him in the shuffle here, right?
Right.
Like, by this point, the story should have progressed to, we gotta see either Hogan or Nash or Hall get their hands on this guy, or vice versa. This guy get their hands on one of those big 3 guys.
Right. Okay. Well,
that's just how I feel about that.
No, I get what you're saying there, and I agree. Here's my question then. I mean, look, we know these guys are all going to be in there. Taker, Team NWO is still going to win. We're going to continue with that, I think, and give them their win back. Who takes out Taker in the match? Because it's elimination style. So here's the question. Who takes out Taker in this match?
What if he's attacked on the way to the ring?
Okay, by who?
One of the NWO's flunkies. Dennis Rodman.
Dennis Rodman?
I mean, you could have 6 attack him. He's not even on this show.
No, he's not.
Did he go back to the WWE at this point?
97, so no. It'd be another year before. He might have been hurt by this point, though.
Yeah, he might have been hurt. Or you have them attack him backstage as in the middle of the show.
Yeah, they could do something with that too, for sure.
And then he comes down halfway. What if it's down to who did it come down to? Hulk Hogan. Hogan pinned Savage, or pinned after Savage hit Luger in the head with a can of spray paint, handed off by Dennis Rodman. Holy crap. Okay. So, yeah, I would do something similar where it's come down to maybe Hogan and Luger, and Hogan hits the leg drop, and as he goes for the cover, we get Taker walking down at that point, but he's coming down with a limp.
Okay, that could work. So you have him not like kind of not in the match.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna do something a little bit different. I am gonna have Undertaker not so much take himself out, but I kind of want there to be a miscommunication, and I want this to start a feud between the Giant and the Undertaker.
Okay.
Because this hasn't been done yet, right? Because obviously Giant would not come to the WWF until like a year later. And I think that you could have some interesting dynamics with that. Something where like Taker misses a boot and hits the Giant, which causes his elimination. Or vice versa. Maybe Giant misses a move and it knocks Taker out, and Taker don't take too kindly to this. So he pulls Giant out on the floor to get talking to him. He gets counted out or goes over the top rope, because that's a form of elimination in this match. And then they kind of just start pushing and shoving each other. And, Lex Luger and Scott Steiner have to come out and try to break those guys up, which just leads to total dissension and chaos between those two. And then I think you can build that up for a little bit. You have like Taker and Giant going back and forth, and Giant maybe saying, listen, there's only room for one big guy in WCW, and it's me. I'm going to put my thing with Kevin Nash on hold for a minute, because right now you're standing in my way, not showing me the respect. And Mark Calloway's like, you know what I've done before I even got here. So don't you talk to me about respect, that sort of thing. That would be my thought of it, but I don't know.
I like that. Let's go in that direction.
Okay.
Because now we're building to some one-on-one stuff. And we're moving him away from the NWO stuff, which can get really convoluted.
Yeah, it certainly has it at times.
So let's have him and the Giant at Spring Stampede then.
All right, so then Luger, Giant, Booker T, and Stevie Ray are all in a four corners match to determine the number one contender for the WCW World Heavyweight title. So if Giant's going to be plucked out of there, we have to put someone else kind of in that spot in his case then. Or we can not necessarily book Giant Taker for Spring Stampede. What I would actually do is, you see the sixth match on the card was Kevin Nash versus Rick Steiner in a singles match for the WCW World Tag Team Championship.
Oh my God.
I'm going to change that a little bit so that we're not going to worry about the tag titles. We don't have to put them on the line. But instead, you see Kevin Nash with 6. So I'm going to put 6 in there with Kevin Nash. And Rick Steiner says, well, I've got a partner, and brings out Taker. So Rick Steiner and Taker versus Kevin Nash in 6. Good little filler match to kind of bridge the gap in between them. Show that Taker's still a good guy. He's still against the NWO, but he's got this little personal grudge and rivalry with the Giant over respect.
What if during that match the Giant comes down and knocks out Nash to disqualify Taker and Steiner?
Ooh, I like that. That could
work. And then Taker comes down and helps the Giant get is it a four corners match?
So it's first fall, but I'm pretty sure Luger makes Booker T or Stevie Ray tap out.
So then we could have that happening. He's got, I assume, the torture rack, right?
Yeah.
Is Luger's finisher. So he's got, let's say, Stevie Ray in the torture rack, and the Giant is about to come into the ring and break it up, and then Taker is there to foil him from doing that.
That works for me.
and Stevie Ray taps out, and the Giant's like, "Ah, crap! I could have broken that up." And Taker, you screwed me.
And I don't like you now. All right, so that moves us on to Slamboree. Pretty easy, I think, for this one. Giant's not booked on this card, so I say this is where we have our match: Giant versus Undertaker. They have their big matchup here.
That works for me. Holy singles matches, Batman.
Yeah. And a lot of them going over that 12-minute mark, too, which you didn't often see. Wow. Reggie White and Steve McMichael went 15 minutes.
Why? Like, before the main event.
Yeah. Yeesh.
What? That is insane.
Yeah. Yeah, it really is.
And what's even worse is Glacier only got a minute 51-second match.
What bull crap, right?
Yeah.
Hashtag Glacier for Hall of Fame.
Absolutely. Yeah, so I put Taker Giant probably as like the third last match.
Yeah, and I'll put Taker over too.
Yes. This is now, he's debuted since January. So 5 months in, he's having his first singles match.
Yeah.
I mean, not counting what's been done on TV.
Yeah, I was about to say, he probably has beaten up some lower card guys
yeah.
on Nitro. But, this is his first big one-on-one pay-per-view match. And he comes out victorious, keeping them strong, that kind of thing, right?
Absolutely.
Okay. So we go through that. Here he comes. Great American Bash, 1997. Savage and DDP in our Falls Count Anywheres match. Where do you see Taker being put in this card? Who do you see him moving on to at this point? We don't necessarily have to involve him with anybody that's here, but we can throw him in there with somebody if you're like, oh God, that might be kind of cool to have him involved somewhere. What are you thinking right now? We're right in the middle of the summer here. Great American Bash, one of the bigger shows. Bash at the Beach this year is going to be a little bit bigger, and we'll get into that why in a bit. But go ahead.
Could he start something with Nash here?
Let's see. He could.
I mean, Scott Hall and Nash are defending the tag titles against Flair and Roddy Piper.
Yeah. So they're still doing that thing with the Horsemen.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's a tough call at this point. Like, where do you fit him in? I mean, we could do a rematch. We could have Giant and Taker with some sort of stipulation to kind of finish things off.
Yeah, Giant's not on this card, eh?
No, he's not.
Yeah, let's just let's see. They've got a Falls Count Anywhere match on here.
Actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to have him kind of do a thing with the Dungeon of Doom. I'm going to start getting him involved with Kevin Sullivan and the Barbarian and Meng and all those guys, and just kind of playing up that whole, you used to be the Man of Darkness, but now it's me. I'm the Man of Darkness, and now we're taking over, that kind of thing. You're not the man you used to be. And then we could have Taker in some cool brawls with guys like Meng and Barbarian and Kevin Sullivan. I don't even see them having a match at Great American Bash. I just see, like, Taker trying to find these guys backstage and just beating the crap out of everybody he runs into on his way to finding them.
I like a rematch. I would like to see a last man standing between these two giants.
Okay, that's fair.
That's what I would go with for Great American Bash.
You know what? That might actually work out better. Yeah. Okay. Well, let's do that. Let's do a last man standing match for Taker and Giant, and then we'll blow it off.
Taker over again.
Yeah, we'll blow it off, and Taker wins. Which leads us to Bash at the Beach, 1997. This one's pretty easy for me. I want to start seeing Taker and Hogan kind of mix it up a little bit, so I'm pulling the Giant out of his spot, and I'm putting it for Taker. Lex Luger and The Undertaker defeat Hulk Hogan and Dennis Rodman in the main event at Bash at the Beach.
Can I substitute Dennis Rodman for Michael Jordan? This is so weird. I mean, I guess it's not any weirder than Taker and Reigns taking on McIntyre and Shane McMahon.
No, we're not talking about that. We're talking about what would have been.
So yeah, Luger and Taker.
Yeah,
going over Hogan and
Rodman.
22 minutes.
Yeah, it's something to see. I just kind of want to scrap this whole rebooking thing now and just go through old WCW pay-per-views with you so you can go, what the heck? What was this?
Yeah. Yeah, no kidding. Anyway, yeah, Luger and Taker. I put them over.
I do too. So now we get to Road Wild. This is the big show that was done at a biker rally. So my question for you then is, how do you book Taker here now? We're in 1997. We just had Taker in the main event with Bash at the Beach. Do you give him Lex Luger's spot? See here, this complicates things because if we go by history here, Lex Luger wins the belt from Hulk Hogan 2 weeks prior to this pay-per-view, and this is Hulk Hogan's rematch. So do you do... Okay, you know what? I have an idea here, but I'd love to hear...
Okay, go for it. Go for it. You go first, and I'll tell you what I came up with.
Okay, so Hogan and Luger... Taker pins Hogan in the tag match at Bash at the Beach. So it's like, okay, Taker is number one contender. Hogan meets up with Luger in Detroit, and he says, and Luger goats him into, give me a shot at the world title tonight. Luger beats him. So now we've got a problem. 2 weeks to go, and the world champion is not booked on the show. So instead, it becomes, it used to be Hogan versus Taker for the title. It's now Hogan versus Taker versus Lex for the WCW World Heavyweight title. It's a triple threat match. And I still say Hogan goes over, he still defeats Luger and gets his world title back. But he does it by beating Luger, and that way Taker's still protected for an eventual match down the line between the two of them.
Dude, we were on the same wavelength up until you put Hogan over.
Okay, so you'd put Taker over.
Again, I'm not sure what's coming up ahead. So I think I would, but let's go with yours. Let's go with that. Let's have Hogan. Yeah, let's have Hogan retain in a triple threat match because I was thinking the exact same thing.
Okay, well there you go. All right, so moving on to Fall Brawl. This one features the War Games with the NWO team of Buff Bagwell, Kevin Nash, Six, and Conan defeating the Four Horsemen, Chris Benoit, Steve McMichael, Ric Flair, and Curt Hennig when Curt Hennig turns on the Four Horsemen and joins the NWO. Taking a look at the...
How did that work out for him?
Well, it was all right for a little bit. Became U.S. champion for a while, so I guess okay. Yeah, he was fine.
But was it perfect?
I see what you did there. I didn't like it, but I saw it. What do you do with Taker here?
Looking at what else is on the card.
Thinking.
Where the hell is Hogan? He's not on the card.
He's not booked.
Throw the two of them in that no disqualification match. Hall, Hogan, Savage versus Luger, DDP, and Taker.
Oh, wow. That's an interesting idea. Okay. I'm going to add match number 9, and I'm going to make it Hogan versus Taker for the world title. I'm going to put this as their first big title match, singles match, one-on-one. And Hulkster's going to win again, but he's going to cheat. He's going to have lots of outside interference. Basically, every member of the NWO is going to come out to try and stop him. And here's the kicker. Actually, you know what? No, we won't do that until next month. Yeah. So Hogan versus Taker. Everybody and their mother comes out to help out Hogan, so Taker's really well protected, and Taker loses. He falls to Hulk Hogan, who's a big cheater. So that's what I do with Fall Brawl 1997. What do you do in your 6-man no DQ match? How does that one end?
It's a 6-man, but I'm going to reuse stipulation we just kind of had. If one of the non-NWO guys gets the pinfall, they will become number one contender in a one-on-one match at the next event. If one of the NWO guys gets a pinfall, Luger, DDP, and Taker cannot challenge for the title until it changes, until Hogan eventually loses the championship. So as long as Hogan is champion, none of them can challenge for the title.
Okay. And obviously you have Taker go over in it?
I do.
Okay. Moving on then.
Have him pin, let's have him pin Savage, because then Hogan can be like, ooh, Randy, I didn't get pinned, you got pinned, and now you're making me go in this match against Taker, and you can have a little dissension in the ranks there.
I like that. I do like that. I do like it. Let's move on to Halloween Havoc 1997. This time in the real world, the main event was Rowdy Piper versus Hollywood Hogan in a steel cage match.
Again?
No championship on the line. This one was notoriously known as Age in the Cage, and was mocked relentlessly online. It's not a great match. We also had Randy Savage against DDP in a Las Vegas sudden death match, which was pretty awesome, which was basically a last man standing match. We had some fun stuff. Lex Luger and Scott Hall with 6. Larry Zbyszko, special guest referee. Kurt Hennig and Ric Flair for the U.S. title. Jacqueline and Disco. Okay, so it wasn't all great, but this is the show that did have Rey Mysterio Jr. versus Eddie Guerrero, title versus mask for the Cruiserweight Championship, which is easily, I think, one of the best matches ever. So go, if nothing else, watch it for that. Where does The Undertaker fit in this? Seems kind of fitting that he would be a part of this show, don't you think?
Yeah, this is... Okay, here's how I do this. Piper, bye-bye. Hogan and Taker in a cage, because for the whatever it's been since January, and this is October now, so for the 10 months he's been there, it's just been, Hogan going over because his buddies help him out. So he doesn't just want Hogan one-on-one, he wants him in a cage.
Yeah, I agree with you. That's why I had all the interference in the Fall Brawl match, so Taker come out and say, I want a cage match that your buddies don't interfere. So here we go. It's a cage match. It's Piper. It's not Piper. It's Hogan and Taker in the cage. Do you put Taker over here for the belt?
I do. I give him his win here, and I end the night. There is a big celebration for Taker. Actually, you know what? Not a big celebration. Like he's celebrating. And then I have the lights go out, and when they come back on, Sting's in the ring.
Oh, okay. So you have them have like a stare down.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. I'm right with you, except for I don't put Taker over. I still have Hogan win due to shenanigans. I know it's a cage match, but
a heel.
But you know that steel cage matches don't stop anything. So I say Hogan over with some shenanigans. The NWO comes in, starts beating Taker down. Lights go out. Here comes Sting. Sting comes down, chases everybody out with a bat, turns around to face Taker, and Taker gives him a big old shove and says, I don't need your damn help. I don't know who you think you are. I know you think you're some sort of soldier, but you know what? You're not. You're a coward, because I'm out here doing the real work, and you're out there hiding like a coward, or something to that effect. He doesn't have to cut that promo there. That's something he could cut later. But basically, it's going to be very apparent by the end of Halloween Havoc that Sting was there to help him, and Undertaker was not happy about it.
Yeah, I have the story kind of be, I've been waiting for my moment, and you just show up and basically get involved in something that's not really your business. This is my company. I want it to be the guy to save my company, and you come in and taking all my glory.
Yeah. I can understand that, man. I like I said, I just different philosophies on booking as we're going to get through with that. Okay, World War III, 1997. The big main event is the 60-man World War III Battle Royal for a WCW World Heavyweight Championship match.
That is too many people.
Yes, it is. If you've ever watched a World War III, they're just not good. They're just not good at all. So, all right, clean slate, man. What do you do? Who's working
so
who?
Not only is there 60 guys, but there's 8 matches before this.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
Are these just a sidebar? Are these Kurt Hennig, Ric Flair matches good? I mean, they've feuded the last 2-3 months now.
I don't remember them.
Oh, okay.
But that doesn't necessarily.
Long, so.
But that doesn't necessarily mean they were bad. It just means I don't remember them.
For sure. Okay, and just something I've been wondering. Okay, so I guess I do the 60-man World War III, but I have a oh my god, I have a 9th match, or I have my 9th. That will be my 10th match of the night.
Okay.
My 9th match will be Taker and Sting against Hogan and Savage.
Taker and Sting versus Hogan and Savage. So you bring Sting back a month early.
I do.
Oh, okay, interesting. How does that play out?
Well, he had this in my scenario. He has the stare down with Taker.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And then there's the conflict there of what matters to them more, the death of the NWO or being the champion. Can Sting get along with the guy that's the champion to defeat, the NWO, or is it more about trying to gauge the guy that you want to take the title from, kind of thing,
Yeah, I can understand what you're saying about that. Yeah, I can see it. I like it. It's not what I'm going to do, but I do dig where you're going with it. I put Taker in the Battle Royal. I put him in the 60-man World War III, and I have him win it. So now he's got a shot. He's once again the number 1 contender for the World Heavyweight Championship. So that's what I do for him, and I give him his big moment, wins in the main event, that kind of thing. And then maybe what I have is... maybe, we have Hogan come onto the ramp and kind of threaten him, and then Sting drops down from the rafters. And again, it's just a stare down between the 3 of them. These 3 are like, something's going to happen here. We don't know what it is, but eventually this is all going to come to a head. All right. Cut to Starrcade, 1997. This is the big one, the big pay-per-view. So, what do you book, man? What's your match?
I guess I have to have someone win. You know what I do?
He doesn't have to win World War III, because World War III, it just guarantees them a championship match, but it isn't necessarily like WrestleMania where you have to take it at Starrcade. I remember that year they had a big hubbub over. Originally, it was supposed to be Scott Hall getting his match at Super Brawl, so they don't. There's no hard and fast rule. Just in case you were thinking like you had to do it that way. Now, you can book it that way if you want to.
Yeah, I was just thinking I would have Sting come down as number 60. And not only does he, win in the tag match earlier in the night, he then also wins World War III.
Oh, wow. So you have him pull double duty.
Yeah.
So, but wait a minute. He's the champion.
Sting, no.
Oh, Taker's Sting. I thought you said Taker pulls double.
No,
my bad. Sorry.
Yeah.
All
so
right.
Taker and Sting beat Savage and Hogan, and we're starting to see some more dissension in the ranks of the NWO. And then I'll have it come down to Nash is in there, and let's say Nash and who's another NWO kind of lower rank guy.
Buff Bagwell?
Sure. So it's oh no, it's Scott Hall that's in there last. So Scott Hall and Buff Bagwell are in there last. And then the number 60 hits. I don't know if this works the same way as the Royal Rumble.
It doesn't. Everybody is out there all at once.
Oh God. Okay, well
You're changing the match. You're gonna do Royal Rumble style.
Yes, I'm doing it Royal Rumble style. Let's come down to Hall.
I mean, technically, if you want, you can have just 59 guys come out and then you can have the commentators make a big deal of like, we're missing a guy. Why? Yeah. We're missing a guy though. There's only 59 guys here. And then once you get down to that, whatever, Sting can rappel down from the rafters as number 60. Yeah.
And he beats both guys of the NWO to become number 1 contender.
Okay. So that leads us into Starrcade, 1997. Something interesting happens, though, between World War III and Starrcade, and that is the Montreal Screwjob. And when that goes down, Bret Hart gets signed to the company, and he is brought in, and his first assignment in WCW is to serve as the special guest referee in the match between Larry Zbyszko and Eric Bischoff for control of Nitro. In the main event, of course, it's Sting versus Hollywood Hogan for the WCW World Heavyweight Championship. There's a lot of great matches on the undercard, including a young upstart by the name of Goldberg taking on Steve McMichael and beating him in 6 minutes. All right. What are you booking for The Undertaker, Starrcade, 1997, the WCW World Heavyweight Champion in your reality?
Taker versus Sting with Bret Hart as a special guest referee, because Sting now starts to try to turn the crowd against these guys, because what are these two WWF guys really got up their sleeve here? I am Mr. WCW. I should be WCW champion.
That's not a bad take on it, man. I like it. As for me, I keep Bret where he is, guesting for Zbyszko and Bischoff. I still do Sting Hogan because I still think that's the money match, but I'm going to put Taker in that guest referee spot. And the reason I'm going to put him in that spot is because he's the number 1 contender, or at least he has, I shouldn't say that, he has a guaranteed title shot down the line. We know he doesn't like Hogan. We know he doesn't like Sting. So there is this real idea of like playing with loyalty. Maybe you can even have Hogan kind of talk to Taker over the next few weeks and be like, come on, brother, you know the favors I did for you up north back in the early 90s. It's time for you to repay the favor and join black. You know, you've always looked good in black. Just add a little bit of white into that, brother. And then, boy, that sounded exactly like something Hulk Hogan would say.
Oh, frick.
Am I wrong? Am I wrong?
No.
So I say Taker is the special guest or referee, and then that way we don't get the horrid, slower than a snail fast count that Nick Patrick was supposed to give, which led to Bret Hart coming out and restarting the match, which was absolutely stupid. We just build the tension throughout the night between Sting, Taker, and Hogan to see where his loyalties lie. At the end of the day, Sting makes Hogan tap out. Taker calls for the bell, just calls it right down the middle, hands Sting the championship, and then when everybody else comes down to the ring to hoist Sting up on their shoulders, Taker just stares and walks out and refuses to celebrate with the other guys because he's his own man and he's a loner, and we'll see where the story goes from there. That's how I end Starrcast. Sting is still the conquering hero who has come back and vanquished Hollywood Hulk Hogan, but there is a looming threat on the horizon, and that is The Undertaker.
You know how? Okay, so I didn't give you how I booked my match.
I want to hear it.
I have Sting be right about everyone, and I have Taker turn heel with Bret.
I'm sorry, I was shocked. You shocked me.
We'll have Sting put Taker in the Scorpion Deathlock, which looks a lot like the Sharpshooter.
It does, doesn't it?
And as Sting has got Taker in the lock, Taker taps, and Bret Hart knocks out Sting with a punch to the face.
What a heel.
So Sting is down. Taker slowly gets up, shakes Hart's hand, and then we get a tombstone pile driver. 1, 2, 3. Hart and Taker walk out with the championship in hand.
So they're not NWO, but they have formed their own heel alliance.
Yes.
Interesting.
Hey, this is a commercial for patreon.com/WrestleMedia.ca, where you can get early access to episodes of your favorite WrestleMedia shows, get full uncut and uncensored versions of your favorite shows, and more. Don't want to hear this commercial on your podcast anymore? Sign up at our main event tier and get these episodes ad-free. Want to hear your own commercial here instead of ours? We've got tiers for that too. Visit patreon.com/WrestleMedia.ca and join the WrestleMedia revolution today.
Okay, man. There you go. We have talked for almost an hour, and I've already recorded the Patreon segment with Aaron, where he and I are going to be talking for an hour about the New Japan G1 Climax and the whole weekend that just happened. So, man, oh man, we've got a huge episode of the Wrasslun show this week. But I got to tell you, this was a lot of fun. I really had a lot of fun booking this with you.
I did too. I was surprised where they kind of diverged, because we were on the same kind of track for the beginning there.
It was basically Halloween Havoc. You had Taker win the belt, and I had him not win it. And that was kind of the big fork in the path between the two of us.
Absolutely. Yeah, I enjoyed that. That's a lot of fun to do off the top of our heads. And sorry if it sounded kind of confusing, but again,
it's WCW, all right? Everything they do is very...
history, and I'm basically I'm just reading like the results page on the internet of what happened in that feud and trying to remember where my story was and then carrying it on from there. But yeah, if we do this in the future, I'll try to be a little bit more prepared, but I enjoyed this. I thought this was a lot of fun. And isn't it crazy that two guys can just book something that seems pretty solid, just, over our intercoms here, and and have, I mean, we're not dealing with actual personalities, but
no, man,
those seem like two very solid storylines.
They do. At least I would like to think so. Really, in the end, the listeners will be the judges of that. And I'll be honest with you. Obviously, we don't have the obstacle of having to book a Nitro in between every single one of those pay-per-views, and like we just kind of assumed, Taker will fill his time in between those big pay-per-views.
Yeah.
But we didn't want this
Taker,
story.
Have we booked Taker versus Glacier yet? Yeah, we did that last week. Do it again.
But we're already past the 1 hour mark for our show this week, so we didn't want to get too deep into it. And I can hear some of our listeners right now going, this was bullcrap. Adam, you didn't even book Taker versus Sting. And neither of you booked Goldberg versus Taker, which was one of the big matches. What the hell, guys? So here's what I propose. Listeners, if you liked what you heard, tell us. And maybe in the very near future, Matt and I will book 1998. Going from our points right from Starrcade 1997, the way we booked it. And then maybe we'll do another year. We'll do sold out 1998 to Starrcade 1998. I think it was sold out 98. I think they did that again.
It was.
There you go. So there you go, listeners. Let us know. If you want to hear us do another year with Taker and WCW, we'll book it again, and we'll have some fun with it. If not, that's fine. Just tell us we sucked, and we won't do it again. That will be our social media question, though, of this week. Do you want to see us do another year of booking The Undertaker in WCW in 1998? And how would you have booked him? What were some of the ideas that you would like to see? I think that'd be interesting to get some feedback on that. And of course, if you're sitting there going, I didn't know you guys were on social media, I'd say, all right, well, tell you what, we are. We're on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can like and follow us on all of those platforms. And we also encourage you to go ahead and rate and review us if you're listening to us on iTunes. We prefer reviews with 5 stars, but if you're not feeling quite so Dave Meltzer-ish, you can just leave us a positive review. We'd be happy with that as well. Of course, if you really want to help us out, you can go put a few ducats in the bucket over at patreon.com/WrestleMedia.ca, where you can get episodes like this and all the other podcasts from I was just about to call it the Wrasslun Show Network, from WrestleMedia absolutely early by a few days, or you can get more. Remember I was talking about how me and Aaron are going to be going on for about an hour there in the Patreon side? Well, that's for our patrons. So if you want that, head on over right now to patreon.com/WrestleMedia.ca. Find the bucket in which to throw your ducats that will get you that extra stuff. And then enjoy. Thank you so much for listening to us this week, patrons, and free listeners as well. Thank you so much for indulging in this little bit of fantasy booking. And Matt, thanks so much for joining me this week, buddy. God, it's good to have you back.
Oh, man, it's good to be back. I like the wrestling. I like you.
And
there should be a third thing in there, but I don't know what it is.
And we love all you listeners. Huh? That'll work.
Very
right?
nice.
So thank you so much again on behalf of WrestleMedia. I'm at Adam Kota.
And I'm at Matthew Sucrum.
That's right. I usually do the extra. I haven't done it for so long. Let me try that again. Okay. On behalf of WrestleMedia for the Wrasslun Show, I'm at Adam Kota. That's at Matthew Sucrum, and you know what to do. Listen, share, subscribe, repeat.
This has been a presentation of WrestleMedia, where everything is wrestling and wrestling is everything. Here's what you're missing out on right now over at patreon.com/WrestleMedia.ca.
Jay White, I don't know what's going on with him. He's starting to, I think he's watched a whole lot of like 1997 WCW Eddie Guerrero, and he really wants to be him right now. Because he's got like kind of the beard going, and he's looking a little more tired and haggard, and not like he's a 26-year-old, Kiwi. So, but he's so good, and this wasn't really a showcase for him, but he did get some good heel heat, and Chase Owens would be so much better of a wrestler if that man just did some more sit-ups.
Not that I'm one to throw stones from my fat glass house, but
Me neither.
Want more? Sign up now at patreon.com/WrestleMedia.ca.